All right, we're back with a another episode of this course we're working on. So last time we basically had nothing done on 5 except for just this general green shape, and we've more or less figured out how we want the hole to be. We did decide that we were going to put a bunker of some kind on the inside of this dog leg. It looks like it needs something there. And we might raise up the land a little bit to create something of a lip, and then that way you have a better view of the green the further towards the outside of the dog leg towards these bunkers that you play. So we gotta have kind of a large-ish bunker here. And again, we're using pretty basic shapes on this course. It's just the vibe we're going for. And then we'll raise the lip here, so just that so you've got a serious penalty if you pull your drive and it goes in there. You know, if you, it's about 310 to get to it. Um, so if it's downwind and or you get a fast downswing, you could end up pulling it into there, and that could present a challenge. And we'll just kind of tie that rise in front of the bunker into this sort of ridge over on the left here. We're probably going to cover this with some trees, so um, we don't have to be super finicky about the sculpting. Alright, let's see what our basic sculpting gives us here. Yeah, not bad. We might want to extend it a little bit more towards the fairway. So it looks like this is mostly pretty flat as it is. Alright, so now if you drive it left, you've kind of got this ridge blocking your view, whereas if you play out to the outside, you have a nice view of the green. Oh, we got a raid from Mr. Victor Lane himself. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm here trying my hand at the uh, the D-Punch school of golf design. Although it's not really, because the fairways are pretty generous, but I still want it to present a challenge. Okay, so this bunker is nice and flat. I'm doing well, Terry. Thanks for asking. Okay, so that was basically the last thing I wanted to put in on that hole for now. So now we have the sixth hole here, which is basically I haven't done anything with it. Howdy, Matt. So it's a long par 4. You know, kind of an uphill tee shot and then a downhill second shot across this creek. Oh, it's not necessarily going to be guarding the green per se. It's sort of more like if you fall asleep at the switch and you miss the fairway, then you gotta think twice about whether or not you can carry it. And we'll probably angle the green over this way. So the fairway kind of is going to slope pretty severely from right to left. So you want to get up to the high side and have a nice downhill view into the green, which is going to kind of go that way. So let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and get an idea of how wide our fairway is going to be. So at about 300, it's pretty generous, probably about 40 yards wide. But it's going to play a lot narrower because of the camber in the fairway. And then if you want to play a little shorter, then you'll have a much wider fairway to play with. Alright, and then when I'm kind of figuring out how I want to orient my green, once I have an idea of where I want the fairway to be, I'll go to one extreme end of the fairway and kind of see what sort of angle that gives me. And then also go to the other side. Right, just that gives me a better idea of, okay, like, am I really making a difference in terms of angles when we orient the green? So it looks like, if you're getting this kind of angle, if you're coming in from the right, maybe we'll angle the green. I mean, it's not going to be a skinny green per se, but because it is a long hole, but it'll probably maybe at its deepest, it'll probably be sort of like that, maybe. So let's see. These greens are fairly small, I'd say, at least by my standards. I'd say they're going to be less than 30 yards by 30 yards. So maybe like, say 28 by 26, something like that. Just a little bit lower than in that direction. Okay, and then we can sort of rough in the shape. Like that. Maybe widen it out a little bit more at the front. Okay, and then we can have a bunker guarding the front left probably. Good evening, Thomas. Okay. So I'm probably this green is going to be more slope more or less back to front. Whoops, I have it set to 1 feet 1 inch uphill. And then maybe we can kind of have like this back left pin can just be kind of just sort of an inaccessible pin, basically. Maybe if you're feeling really bold, and you get the good angle, you can come in with a draw and get it reasonably close. Okay. So basically, it's kind of like death if you're left, and then you can kind of bail out if you go right. I might keep this little shoulder where it is. So if you end up, like, say you get afraid when you have a front pin here and you get a slow down swing, you end up going a little long right, then you got to deal with that on your chip shot back downhill. So I'm probably going to keep that where it is, right? And then we can put another pin, you know, like kind of like a green light pin with the backstop there. We might lower this a little bit just to make it a little more smooth, but I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, maybe I don't want it, and I don't want it that flat up there. So I'm gonna take this and just do a little bit of a lower. Alright, so I think we got a good start with our green complex there. And you'll notice basically what I did was I just more or less, because I'd already picked out the green site, I more or less followed what the land was doing, flattened it in a few places, you know, kind of look at the features, decide if it's something you want to keep or just kind of smooth out, um, and just think how it's going to affect the strategy of the hole. So obviously this is going to be subject to further tweaks, you know, as we play test and such, but I think we've got the general concept in place. And then what we'll do is I'm going to flatten this. So this front left bunker is going to be pretty deep. And yeah, since these bunkers are going to be flat bottomed, I have to give them a little extra room. So that's probably going to be too close because then the slope's going to be way too severe. And we'll end up with texture issues. If it was a bunker that's kind of, you know, like a more traditional bunker with where the sand slopes down to the bottom, um, I'd be comfortable putting it that close to the green, but I don't want to. Um, given how we plan on sculpting. So similarly, back here we got to give it plenty of room. And if we do some preliminary sculpting and it looks like we could probably get it a little bit closer, just make it look a little more menacing with the slope there, we can always do that. But yeah, I think as it is, this is going to work. This is about the right distance. Okay, so is that the question I have for myself? Is that too comically deep? Or is it just right? I'll probably lower the land here a little bit just to improve the sight lines. Yeah, it's been fun trying to get this look right. It took a lot of playing around. It might just be because of the texture, so I'm going to lay down some heavy rough brush here just to see if that looks any more attractive. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. We can always raise it up ever so slightly. Could be softened a touch, you think? Okay, I think maybe I'll raise it like 6 inches or so. 9 inches. Scratch it, you say? I don't know. I'm going to raise it just a bit. Yeah, I think that looks good. And if we really decide we don't like how it looks, we can always go back and change it. Okay, so if you're coming in from the left, especially if the pin's left, you got to deal with that bunker. If you place your drive on the right, you're in better shape. We might try putting some, like, because this is like sort of an old-timey golden age, we might, of course, we might put some like little, like chocolate drop mounds out here on the right side, just to kind of punish you if you bail out. But I think that's something I might wait until we've got the rest of the hole laid out. See if it frames the green a little bit better. Okay, and then let's see. So I kind of want the second shot layup, if you miss the fairway, to kind of be over in here. And I think this is like a, yeah, this is like 90 yards out, so like kind of guarding the nice lob wedge distance. We might put a little principal's nose action here. So the question is, do we want it just completely center line with fairway surrounding on either side, or do we want it to kind of come in from the left, creating this little narrow neck between the bunker and the creek? I think I kind of like having the fairway out to the left, so just totally surround this with rough. that. Just let's keep this pretty simple. Alright, and then if you had about 25 yards or so to stop it there. A little too abrupt there. So I think we'll do a little bit of a combination of raising this up because we don't want to make the other side too abrupt so that if you, I don't know, maybe if you carry that you are going to run into the water, but we can accomplish the same effect and actually improve the sight line of the hole overall if we lower the land in front by a few feet. And we'll lower this over here as well. And I think I don't know, maybe we'll have the fairway just kind of sweep in like this. I think it'll make the sculpting a little easier. Instead of having to, I don't know, kind of finesse all the sculpting around that center line bunker. Yeah, we have more room than that. Something like this. So if you haven't watched me design much, you know that you can see that I'm very undisciplined with the measuring tool. Okay, and then I'm actually going to shift our fairway out to the right a little bit more. All right. So let's try and sculpt this a little bit. It'd help if we switch to the proper tool. Okay, so let's try and actually put some sand down here. Whoops. So for whatever reason, it seems like, and I think it's just because the shape doesn't drop down as much if you just have a little spline here. And you know, this is something I picked up from Joe Golfer G. If you're trying to make bunkers with pretty flat bottoms like this, just use kind of skinny spline pieces to fill in your bunkers. And that prevents it from getting too bathtubby, and furthermore, it's a lot easier to sculpt it. Well, it didn't work very well. It's okay, we can fix it, but you can see that that back portion got lifted up a little bit. So I am just going to take the raise tool and just do some slight raises to sort of flatten this out. Okay, part of why this looks awful is because the lighting isn't very good. Okay. Well, you know what? I think I want to have this fairway portion out to the left, because that way we might be able to open up the view of the creek a little bit better. And I think what we'll do is the fairway's going to get a little bit closer to that. And then let's see. I'll have this go about almost 60 across. And like kind of right at the crest of the hill here. Let's see how far this thing carries. .283, okay, so about a stock driver distance. So we've got this little rise here. What might make the most sense is if we just raise this fairway up a good like 10 feet maybe. I'm gonna save this. Because I still want this right side to be, we can do a couple things. We could just lower this here, like this whole thing. I like the camber that it has, but I think I want to have a bunker right in around here, um, and I want it to be visible off the tee. So if we raise this, then that should give us that might give us a slightly better view into the green. Or we could do some combination of the two, right? Raise this a bit, lower this a bit. And that could kind of give us the sight line that we want. And I'll raise this just a little bit because we did increase the camber a bit when we did that. And then we'll take this and lower it. Let's try 8 feet. I think that might work. We gotta lower this stuff anyway, just so we don't have the view of the fairway totally blocked. Alright, we may have to lower this a little bit more, but that should be more, that should show up okay. Yeah, so it's roughly a level tee shot. And the second shot is well downhill. And it looks like if you can carry this little crest here, you can get some extra roll. We got some possibilities for an interesting tee shot here, I think. Alright, I think I want to raise it just a little bit. Okay, I think that we can see that bunker on the right now. What up, golfer dude? Okay, so we should be able to get this these bunkers put in here and sculpted, and then maybe get the fairway in there as well. Oh yeah, Terry's he must have played that about a dozen times now. All right, needs a little bit of sculpting. I'm gonna try and lower this bunker just a bit. Okay, so again, the basic premise of this hole is you got this right to left cambered fairway, you try and drive it up on the high side, close to this bunker, you get a nice view of the green, good angle, and that's basically how this hole's supposed to work. Okay. So now we have to put in our sort of our outer fairway here. Okay, I think we can delete our spline points here, or the distance markers rather. That makes things a little easier to see. Alright, so you drive it up to the crest of this hill here. You can play it safe. And then you got a downhill second. Let's adjust the splines just a little bit here. Okay, so then we'll fill in the fairway by using another set of splines, like this. So we're just following the inside of the shape. Okay. So the fairway's a little rumply for my liking, but we'll fix that. I think that's probably a good place to end the episode. So what we have left to do here is we've got to do some sculpting on this hole. Our bunkers are more or less sculpted, but the fairway needs a little attention. Um, Sculpt the layout up zone, and then we got to do more sculpting around the green, and obviously it needs a fairway around it. So that's what we'll do next time. I'm just going to see how this drive plays. We may have to do some more work on our landing area to make sure it has the right camber, but that you can still hold it. All right. So, that'll do it for episode 9. Hope you can join me for the next episode. Have a good night, everybody.